Welcome to the Private Practice Startup Podcast, where we help ambitious private practitioners across the globe to brand themselves and grow their dream practices. We chat with successful private practitioners, business coaches, and marketing experts, bringing you tons of practice building ninja tips. Visit privatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and our signature marketing e-course. Here are your co-hosts, Dr. Kate Campbell and Katie Lemieux. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Private Practice Startup Podcast. I'm really excited that you guys are here joining us. We're going to be talking today with Dr. Joe Eckler, and we're going to be talking about a topic. I know that sometimes we have stepped away from talking about the business talk. That will always be in there, but we're going to be talking about a topic about kind of when life happens, when life happens and you're growing a business. So we're going to be talking about working when you're not going to get well soon. 3 ideas for therapists who have chronic illnesses. But before I introduce Dr. Joe to you guys, we hope that you guys joined us last week as we invited Laura Long back on our podcast. We think that she is now the official guest that we've had on the most. I think we've had her on 5 times. But this was a discussion between myself, Laura, and Kate, and we talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly of launching. So whether you're launching products or services, we actually give you an inside view of what it's like to go through that. Unfortunately, Allison Perrier was supposed to join us, but she got ill with a stomach flu on recording day. So the show must go on, and we went ahead and recorded without her, but I know that there's going to be a lot of great content for you guys there. And if you're brand new to us, we wanted to say thank you so much for choosing us and our podcast to listen to. We hope that you become part of our family. I mean, you're already part of our family by joining us. And we have a gift for you that is our A to Z cheat sheet, the essentials for building and growing your dream practice. Head on over to privatepracticestartup.com, head over to the resources tab, and there you will see it. It also comes with 5 days of our practice building emails to really support you on your private practice journey. Let me just share a little bit about Dr. Joe with you guys. Dr. Joe has been a psychologist for 14 years and living with a chronic illness since she was 15. She's worked in community mental health, university counseling centers, multiple veterans hospitals, nursing homes, and now in private practice. She's been a recovering overachiever, also an author and editor, a registered yoga teacher, and trained as a death and mourning doula. She has been known to dress as a unicorn repeatedly and has been kissed by a giant Amazonian river otter. Those are some fun facts, Joe. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Joe. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. And actually, just before we hit record, I did reveal that my Halloween costume this year was a unicorn. I'm starting to fall in love with unicorns a little bit.
They're pretty awesome.
I know.
What's not to love? Yeah.
I know. So where do you wear this unicorn costume repeatedly?
It depends. Actually, not often on Halloween, believe it or not. But yeah. So in Austin, we have a lot of queer events and like pride events and things like that. And it's always appropriate to be a unicorn at those moments. But, yeah.
Well, and Austin's tagline is keep Austin weird. Is that what it is?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
It's actually the Chamber of Commerce did that to try to encourage small businesses and
very cool.
Continuing to support small businesses. Yeah.
Ah, that's interesting. Yeah. I like it. So kind of keep it unique and very interesting. Yeah, you guys even have T-shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah. Portland has the same thing. So they also say keep Portland weird. So
I love it.
I don't know who did it first.
So I'm really looking forward to your topic because we haven't had one like this. And, we really wanted to highlight this because I think it's important, not something that we talk about often. I think, especially as therapists, we really have to put on a professional face and, whatever we're dealing with when we're in session needs to go into the background for a little bit, right? And we need to be there fully for our clients. But the reality is life is happening for us as well, whether we're a couples counseling going through a divorce, whether we are having a chronic illness or someone we love is hurting or we're mourning our own loss. It's tough to begin to navigate all of this stuff. But I'm curious to just start with what led you to the field.
Oh, I remember you talked with Allison a while back about kind of her story and being the person that everyone went to with their problems that were disproportionate for her age. And I so related to everything she was talking about. In middle school, I was leaving the dinner table to talk my friends down from suicide. It was not a good situation, and I shouldn't have been doing that. But at some point, I decided I would just become trained and have some more skills and be able to do what I was already doing anyway. So, yeah. So then it just evolved, and I ended up helping weird people who've been through bad things for a long time.
That's an interesting tagline. I help weird people who've been through bad things.
Yeah. And now I want to help weird people who are dealing with bad things as far as like the stuff that chronic illness does to our lives and to our bodies.
Yeah. Can you share a little bit about at 15 and you got diagnosed with a chronic illness? Oh. What happened? What was it? And how has it affected you?
Well, like many people with chronic illness, I actually didn't get diagnosed. Okay. I got a lot of weird symptoms. My knee swelled up like a bowling ball. I got told I had arthritis and I was 15.
Wow.
And they were like, just take this like a leave for the rest of your life. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But later we found out it was an autoimmune arthritis that just wasn't commonly known back then. And then, but that diagnosis didn't come, trying to do math, till like 20 years later. It's not uncommon for people to have to chase a diagnosis for years and many doctors and specialists and tests. And it starts to get disappointing when a test comes back negative. Because you're like, so I still don't know what I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's part of the
answer.
Yeah. It's part of the exhaustion and the frustration that people go through. Yeah.
So you were managing life, obviously, with this undiagnosed illness, right, for quite a while. You've been in the mental health field. And I guess, let's talk about being in the mental health field, having a chronic illness, but then also being in business, because when you're in business, it's party of you, right? And like you have to make it work and manage all of this at the same time.
Yeah. So what happened was I started collecting illnesses, kind of like CEUs or other certifications along the way. So now I've ended up with 5 autoimmune diseases, 3 neurological ones, and like 1, maybe 2 gastrointestinal things. So that's fun. And it got to the point where business was what saved me.
Okay.
Working in the structure of a very structured government agency, there's only so much flexibility you can get. And I asked for I got as much as I could, like as much as they could give me, and it still wasn't enough. And so I realized I wasn't even making my salary because I had so much leave without pay. And I said, well, I guess it's time to go and do whatever I can do and build something that I can operate in. And I actually can work more working for myself than I could in a tight structure where I didn't have that flexibility.
That's amazing. I got chills when you said that, and it's not something that you really think about, but the opportunity and the offer. And it's, I find that a lot of times in life, right, it's kind of like I don't know, I feel like it's kind of like coming through the wormhole. Like we're like really pushed and we pop out on the other side. It feels like there's a lot of pressure and it's hard and we're not really sure, but then, there's good things to come. And so did you feel positive about it when you made that decision, or were you afraid? Share a little more on that.
I was in that excited, terrified place. But it was one of those where I was like, well, this is what I have to do. And I would walk into the building at work on the days that I could be there at my old job, and like my stomach would just sink, and I'm like, I'm just done. So, and I loved what I was doing, but it was all trauma work all the time. Oof. Yeah. And so I needed to find some more creative ways to work. And I'm not saying that business is easy. I mean, you know that. Like there's nothing easy about this stuff.
Yes.
But for me, it saves so many spoons, like just like not having a little more flexibility with my schedule, with when I had days off, with what tasks I do when, with what I wear, where I sit. Maybe I go lie down if I need to. Things that you just can't do in a structured office situation, especially if it's a quote unquote professional environment where you have to dress a certain way and be a certain way.
As you say that, I'm like, I didn't like go to school in the 70s or even 80s, right? It was like the 2000s. I graduated in 2004, and my internship, I don't know why, but it was at a hospice, and they made us wear nylon stockings, dresses, and closed-toed shoes. Like,
wow.
Like, I just feel like that's so not of the times.
The dresses are weird. The closed-toed shoes and the socks or stockings, those are health code for medical settings. Yeah. But there's no reason.
But the dresses, women have to wear dresses or skirts.
Wow.
Like, what the heck?
There's no reason for that. Wow.
Yeah. And I think the CEO was a woman, so I wasn't really sure why we were wearing dresses. But anyway, I digress. I digress for sure.
Oh, but it's a good point. It's a good example of how this stuff takes energy that if you're not dealing with chronic illness, you might not even think about what it takes to put on a pair of nylons,
right.
Or to be able to close your, buckle your shoes or tie shoes.
Well, interesting. And I guess why I bring it up was not only because of that, but I've had chronic back problems since I was 20 years old. Right.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't wear dresses, and it's for the reason of, because sitting with your legs crossed, because sometimes you have to, if you're wearing a dress, it's very uncomfortable. So many times, if someone actually looked under the table of a restaurant, I'm sitting Indian style because that's the most comfortable for me. Right. And so being able to feel comfortable and free in your own business, right? And I think also there's this part of the evolution, and maybe, I don't know if this happened for you, but coming into your own private practice, you're still you don't know what you're doing. I was probably still a little wet behind the ears, trying to act professional. And, over time, I've really grown into myself, my brand, my business. And it's no big whoop of crossing your legs on the therapy chair anymore, right? Or getting really comfy, or putting pillows behind your back, and then encouraging our clients to do the same, you take off your shoes, I don't care, right?
Yeah.
But in settings and things like that, it's harder to be able to manage and be free. So what are some tips that you have for folks that, who might be dealing with a chronic illness, to really be able to embrace business and private practice and manage that all?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things is knowing yourself. I mean, you really got to figure out what your illness is like and don't like, what is soothing, kind of what the timing is for yourself, because there may be good times a day for you. There may be, maybe fluorescent lights are terrible, and you never want to be in a room with them again. Maybe there's certain seasons where it's not a good idea to plan a launch because you're going to flare up, like in the summer or the winter. And if you're going for some kind of treatment or infusion, maybe that the next 3 days don't book anything, because you're going to be out like a light. So knowing that helps you plan what you want for your business life, so you can set it up accordingly once you know more about your illness. And then the other part is knowing more about your skills, because especially when we've been trained in such a structured way, we can easily forget that there's other stuff we know how to do. And it doesn't have to be one of the 3 things that had therapists in front of them, So it could be that you're a great therapist, but also, like me, I like to write and I like to edit. And so I've been able to incorporate a lot of that into my business life. And then maybe somebody else is really good at making cakes or essential oils or all kinds of things. And then you can decide if you want to diversify your business, because if you diversify, I can go on this for a while.
That's
but
okay.
the more income streams you have, as long as you can manage them mentally, and income streams that have different requirements, the more likely it is you'll be able to keep going even if you have a big flare. So for me, I have 3 days a week of clients. So, and then I have 2.5 days sometimes of editing and writing kinds of things, or content creation, things that I can do at my own pace. Or if I have a doctor's appointment, I can put them off and do more on another day or this. So I can switch things around. There's things I can do if I can't talk that day, or I need to lie down, or if I can't focus on editing, then I know I'm going to see clients and I can focus on them, because it's a little bit easier for me when I'm foggy to focus on a person.
Sure.
And so that way I can still have income kind of almost no matter what's going on. And then I have my book that, it kind of does its own thing and kind of runs on its own. And then, I'm setting up some other things too.
Nice. I just wanted to take a quick moment so we can have a break for our sponsor.
Yeah.
When you're in private practice, it can be tough to find the time to review your marketing efforts and make improvements where needed. Whether you're a seasoned clinician whose current website needs to be revamped, or a new therapist building a website for the first time, Brighter Vision is here to help. By first understanding your practice and what makes it unique, Brighter Vision's team of developers will create you a custom website catered to your specific marketing goals. Better yet, they provide unlimited tech support to make sure it stays updated and professional search engine optimization to make sure you rank high in online searches, all at no additional cost. To get started for $100 off, head to brightervision.com/PPS. Again, that's brightervision.com/PPS.
When it comes to keeping your practice organized, you want software that's not only simple, but the best. We recommend Therapy Notes. Their platform lets you manage notes, claims, scheduling, and they have a new awesome telehealth platform for your online counseling sessions. They offer amazing unlimited phone support and email support, so when you have a question, they are there to help. To get started with the practice management software trusted by over 60,000 professionals, go to therapynotes.com and start a free trial today. Enter promo code PPS, as in Private Practice Startup, and they will give you 2 months to try for free. Go to therapynotes.com.
So let's continue on. I love that you talk about the different income streams and how important that is. And like you're kind of talking about like being able to manage that. It's a lot too, right? So when you're starting up a new business or just, I mean, whether you've ever been in business or not, starting up a new business is like, you know, creating a baby, really. It does take time. But as you become a business owner and you understand there's similar systems and things like that you can put in place to other businesses, that really help. So, you know, and there is a time component, right? Like eventually, unless it's completely outsourced, like the time component, you also have to factor that in for sure. But I do love, you know, as you talk about that, like one of the things that I love about the private practice startup, seeing clients, and I also do real estate. That's kind of my on the side thing is, you know, it's always kind of changing, and I really love to be home in my own space. Like I enjoy working from home. I don't always enjoy dressing up. You know what I mean? Like I love the creative process when I'm kind of on my own creating stuff, not interacting sometimes. And I also love working with my clients in the sense that I always find that whatever's going on in life is that when I'm there with them in the room, it's about them, right? So everything else just kind of goes away. So that is always such a thing that I'm grateful for.
Yeah, and that being present with clients, sometimes that even helps me if I'm having a bad pain day or a bad symptom day, like, and it's a client day. Sometimes I can still go because it sort of takes me out of myself for that amount of time.
Yeah. That is a beautiful thing. But I really love how you talk about, you know, it's interesting because Kate and I, you know, we coach therapists on marketing, and it always begins with self, right? And so you're talking, especially if, you know, you do have a chronic illness, it needs to begin with self and really creating that dream lifestyle that you want to live as you go into business, right? We talk about it in regards to your schedule, but you know, I love how you also said, like, you can actually work more and better because you're able to manage your own schedule, knowing yourself and what works for you. That's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. And, you know, the systems you mentioned before, they help too. Because I added things bit by bit, so it was easier to build a system at a time. You know, I transitioned into like some contract nursing home work before I fully did private practice. So I could build the private practice stuff and have that ready to go while I was doing the nursing home stuff. So, you know, adding things bit by bit, but like you even have a wonderful system for getting on your podcast. You know, you sent like the invitation and the waiver, like all these things just seemed like, you know, you had it ready to go and automated. And so I love those things. I love online scheduling because phone calls really drain me.
Yeah, I hear you.
I love that I can have Spruce on my phone. And if I'm stuck in like one time I was stuck in the ER, but I wasn't emergent. I wasn't like horribly injured. I was just like, I had to go for something. And I was able to reschedule my client sitting there in the ER without missing a beat. It was really, technology is so helpful. Online therapy is awesome. Like all of these things.
Yeah. I would say technology is helpful when it's working.
When it's working, yeah.
Then when it's not, it's very stressful for sure.
Yeah. Totally.
I have one client. It's like happened 3 times, and it's funny because sometimes we'll either schedule at 11 or 1, and I don't know if like she's scheduled me when she's in a different time zone, but it like, and I'm like, it's got to be a setting on your phone, like right. You got to look at that, and it's just kind of funny when you think about those things.
Yeah.
But yes, when
there's always glitches.
Working, it does work wonderful. Talk a little bit. I know that you kind of share about finding trusted allies in regards to, you know, managing life with chronic illness and being a business owner. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it can help define other people who get it, whether they're friends or family or even people who work in other fields, but like somebody that you can go to and just be like, oh, this is a rough day. And they're not going to tell you to eat kale, and they're not going to tell you to do yoga. And they're not going to say, get well soon. Like, they're just going to get it. And so that really helps. And also people you can trust as you get bigger, people you can lean on to help you as far as assistants go. You know, so you don't have to do everything by yourself.
Mm-hmm. Was there kind of I don't know what I would describe it as, but like I know being a business owner, like I always talk about initially becoming slave to the business because I had no idea about dream lifestyle and creating my schedule and things like that. And then you feel bad if you're going to take time off, or you worry about the money. And so did you have to kind of go through your own self-growth process of like managing how you feel and what you need to do for you, as opposed to the scarcity stuff? Like, take us a little bit through that journey.
Oh, it was awful at first.
Thanks for being real about that, because it's so true.
I still have moments where I start scrambling, and then my partner, he'll look at me and he'll be like, what's going on? He's like, are you like freaking out again? And I'm like, yes, I'm freaking out again. So, but really looking at, in the scarcity place, it's so easy to say, I'll do anything because it'll bring in some money. But looking at the cost-benefit ratio, I think is super important for anybody, but also if your energy and time is limited, and it's limited even more by chronic illness, you've really got to look at what are you actually getting out of it and what's going to be the cost? Because you could work 12 hours today, but what's that going to do to your next 2 days when you've got those full fee clients coming in? Are you going to be able to go? Are you going to be able to see them? Or you have some important marketing, networking thing to go to. Like, do you need to save your spoons for that? Instead of working on like a $20 job? So balancing that stuff out.
Do you, like, what are your cost benefit questions you ask yourself in your head to make a decision?
Yeah. I mean, one is like, do I want to do this? And kind of checking in with my body, because my body is pretty clear. Like I'll get this kind of dropping feeling in my stomach, and like my shoulders will go down and my chest will cave in. I'll just be like, ugh. Just thinking about doing some certain things. And I'm like, okay, is that an because I just don't want to do anything, or an because this really isn't in line with what I want to be doing or what I need to be doing? And then I also look at how long is it honestly going to take me? And that takes a while to learn about yourself.
I still don't know, because I feel like there's so much stuff in life. You're like, okay, you project it and it's never that way.
Yeah. And then you have to add extra, right? You take your estimate and then add a little more.
Yeah. I need to start learning to do that. Even so in the mornings, I kind of count back, right? Like if I want to make sure I get all my self-care stuff done, which is like journaling, meditating, reading, and exercise. And exercise is the one that usually suffers in the sense of like, because I'll exercise and then I'll take the shower, right? So if I'm like, if I don't do it backwards and say, okay, I need to exercise by this time because I have to be in the shower by this time. Even this morning, like I got a call from an attorney I was waiting for, and I was like, oh, do I pick it up or don't I? And I picked it up. So exercise suffered today. So no exercise for me. I could always do it later, but that's just
it's not the same.
It's not the same.
Yeah. Those choices are tough.
Yeah. So how much, I mean, I know each task is different, but like, what is your buffer that you put on? Do you just say times 2?
It depends a little bit, but usually somewhere between maybe an extra 15 minutes, an hour, because I have 2 chronically ill pets, actually. So sometimes a lot of things will come up, literally, or otherwise. And then, so it'll be like, oh, shoot, I got to go give the dog her pills, or I got to go, make sure the cat has her things. And so that'll take time, or account for phone calls and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, for sure. Sometimes I'm always running everything's packed in so tight that it doesn't allow for too many mess ups, and the schedule's thrown, for sure.
Yeah, I got great advice when I did the Relax and Renew restorative yoga training, yoga teacher training with Judith Hanson Lassiter. get her name right. And she told us, never live at the edge of your time, energy, or money. I thought that was brilliant.
That is.
Yeah. It's hard.
I'm at the time. I don't think it's the energy or money, but I'm at the time.
Yeah. I'm not master of that, but it's like an aspirational thing.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Never live at the edge of your time, energy, or money. Yeah. Nice quote. I like that. Yeah. Any other final points that you feel are really important that you want people to take away from your message today?
Yeah. I think I want people to know that there's hope, not hope like, oh, everything's going to get cured and your life is going to be like it used to be, but that if you are living with chronic illness or you develop one, because so many people do, that you have a lot of skills and gifts that you might not even realize. And there may be ways to repackage them or to use them that you're not even aware of yet. And so that you can still do the things that you love to do, whether you do them for money or not, but they're going to look different, and that's okay. But you can still have a meaningful, fulfilling life. So
nice.
And that's what I coach people for.
Yeah. And I love it. And I think sometimes, when life happens or when we're faced with things, it brings us to that point in the road, right? Where you split right or split left. And, I always like to look at things as an opportunity, even though it doesn't sometimes feel that way. Right.
Yeah.
It often is, and so, one of the things that I really loved about your message today was, like, if you already have a chronic illness or you do develop one, is that it is about you first and really getting clear that you can have both and, right? Like you can have the lifestyle that you need to live healthily, as however healthy that is, that you can, but you can also be a business owner and you can have both and enjoy it and even like it way better than ever working for an agency or something like that. So that's what I'm taking from your message today. So thanks so much, Jill, for being here with us and sharing candidly. And I also know that you have a giveaway for our audience. What is that?
I do, because I'm so grateful to you and the whole Startup Nation crew, because y'all have helped me along this journey.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I have put together, this is one part of my chronic illness companion toolkit, but I thought it would be especially useful for therapists. You can use them with clients or you can use them with yourself. It's the flare preparation checklist. So there's fillable PDFs, and then there's also ones you can print out, and there's worksheets that explain everything. But it help you or your client plan what they need to have ready or have for a flare, what things to look for, just because when we're in a flary, foggy place, it's really hard to figure out what we need to do. And so kind of like a safety plan, but for flares. For chronic illness. Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today. And like I said, sharing everything about your journey and how you help therapists in this very unique way. So I'm glad that we were able to have this topic because we haven't. So we appreciate that. And we hope that you guys join us next time for Whitney Owens. Whitney shares with us the 5 pitfalls between counselors and churches. So if you are looking to niche in working with faith-based organizations, this is a podcast that you're definitely going to want to listen to. Of course, we chatted a little bit about marketing because, we just can't have a podcast without doing that. We didn't talk too much, actually, with Joe about marketing because we were really focusing on this topic. But we do hope that you guys join us next time. And Startup Nation, we always love to hear your feedback. We always love to know, and even Joe shared right on this podcast about how we've been helping her. And we don't even know that sometimes. And so when you guys drop us an email or send a Google review or Facebook post, it just really delights us. And so we love that you guys do that. And we always love to hear your feedback on how this is helping you. And we'd really love to invite you to hang out with us a little bit more, and that would be in Facebook. So look for the Private Practice Startup Facebook group, ask to join. And right now we have over 7,000 therapists and always growing. So we jump in there and pop in there, and we'd love to see what you guys are doing, the questions you're asking, and it's just a huge joy. So Startup Nation family, we hope that you continue to join us for our podcast. And if there's something that you're interested in, we would love to really hear what that is for you so we can make sure that we do get that on the podcast. And as always, have an awesome and inspired day, everybody. Take care.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.